Hi everyone, my name is Zenton Yobera. I'm the author of Axiom Regalia, the book you can see in the screen. In the screen, it's a book about. Let me. It's okay. Now I think we're connected. Let me give everyone a second to get here, and that way I can explain you a little bit. My name is Zenton. I'm the author of Axiom Regalia, Fate of Hate, and it's a book about how our personal relationships and our psyche interact together, how the way we feel affects society and how society affects how we feel. In essence, it's an essay about even though why is this not working now? This thing is just so confusing to me. Now what's the issue? What's the problem now? I did what you wanted me to do, and now you're not working. This is just so annoying. What's going on? How is it no longer available? I'm here. I'm here. I'm connected. How is it no longer available? My goodness, this thing is just so annoying. You see, this is what makes me not stream anymore because this thing keeps doing strange stuff. Now I've been here 2 minutes. Okay, now it's showing. Let me relax for a second because I'm telling you, this thing really aggravates me. And then I don't even have an editing tool to remove this from there. So, okay. What is the book about? This book is about how fear, shame, and guilt affect these three characters. Let me show you a little bit more about Axiom Regalia. Well, I'm not going to show it to you like that. So this is our first live session, so it really doesn't matter if it's good or if it's bad or what's going on, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be improving it. And since there's no one here, and probably no one's going to watch it, I don't need to worry that much. But the name of the book is Axiom Regalia, Fate of Hate, and as the name says, axiom is a real truth, is a universal truth, and regalia is royal. So it's a royal truth, one that's above everything else, using that play with structure. Fate of Hate makes reference to what happens when you let hate take take control over you. And we can see here that this is the painting called Witches Going to Their Sabbath and how there's demons and witches. So that should tell you what the book is about a little bit. It's about how fear, shame, and guilt can drive you to hate yourself and to hate others, and how society as a whole is affected by those emotions when they are motivated and when they are punished, and who controls power and who doesn't. It's a fantasy allegory about the state of the world. So my this book is motivated also by my own background. My name is Zenton Yobera. I have a degree in public health. I worked as a public mental health expert in a mental health facility, and part of my work was to try to help people have a better mental health. And one of the things I noticed is that books and literature had that power, had the power to make people make changes in their lives. Because as an anime viewer, my in my life, anime has been very significant, and many of the things that I do and that I believe are motivated by anime characters. So I've realized how much fantasy, how much of an impact fantasy can make. So I wanted to help people mm, find other ways of understanding their behavior and who they are. That's why Axiom Regalia came to be. Today we're going to talk about the importance of narrative in emotional development. So I'm not only going to talk about it, but I'm going to write about it using the structure that I use to tell stories. We're going to find a way to write a blog so these so we can bring to light my own experience and match it with what could be helpful and why narrative is so important. I believe that there are three different stages in becoming who you want to become. One of them is choice. And if you don't choose, you're letting fate choose for you. And when fate chooses hate, this is what happens. It's infective, it's destructive. But when you choose something else, despite how you're feeling and despite what society tells you, you take control over your fate. So here we're going to be, let me open this. Now I want us, let me remove this first of all, and let's write together. I want you to see that there's no need narrative and mental health. Can remove this. Don't worry about the don't worry about things that are not perfectly written or stuff like that, because right now we're just writing to get our ideas out of our mind. Here we have a blueprint of how story structure, what type of story structure we're going to use. Oh wait, this is not it. This is the blueprint, but here we have the structure, what we're going to use to tell the story. And we're going to focus just on this is everything we're going to be talking about in the future is here. So we're going to go slowly about it. Uh, and at the end, we're going to try to, well, not going to try, we're going to actually write this structure and why it matters. But right now, we're going to talk about why structure matters in telling our own story. We're going to take this one, the emotional alchemy story structure. So what I'm going to do is Control C. I've never done this before in this way. So this is going to be us learning together. So let's see what, ooh, no. No. Okay, so since this doesn't work well like that, let me, well, we can do that. Control V, we scale it down. Emotional alchemy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is perfect. So acknowledgement, emotional acknowledgement, and trigger. As you can see, the good thing is that we have these there, no? If not, it would be so hard to actually make work. Origin of the emotion, allies and mentors, enemies and liabilities, lesson, old trigger, overcome. How do you say this? And new trigger, and we will call this part something like well, conclusion, because at the end it doesn't matter how much we learn, we are going to feel triggered in the future. There are other things that are going to affect us. So we do like this. Well, then in the future we'll what? No, we good. We're going to write it ourselves because it's our story. And I said why narrative is important in mental health. So the story that we tell about how we feel will transform how we feel. Will no will transform, will determine how we act. If we believe that the emotion is good, we will repeat it. If we believe it is bad, we will stop it. If we don't stop an emotion we believe is bad, it becomes a trigger. Yes or no? Do you think it's true or that I'm lying? I think you know that it's true. So now that we know this, bam. Let's see if we can increase. Let's center it. Origin of the emotion. We grow up. There's something about this I'm not convinced. Well, we'll find out how to make it look beautiful later. We grow up being, let's say, many people argue about the dichotomy between nature and nurture. Nature versus nurture. But the truth is that they both influence us in different ways, in different moments. And it doesn't really matter if we believe if something is innate or acquired, because what matters is that we believe it. This you have heard it before, that belief makes the belief. That's a way of saying it, I think. But let me put this in do not disturb. That way we can just be us. So belief makes the world. If we believe something is in a way, it will become that because we believe it. So what happens here, that this should be a blog, but we'll work on it later. As we say, we're going to set a 20 minutes timer. 20 minutes, counting down. So now we're going to take just some time. We're not going to put it too much effort into it. We're just trying to talk things out. So why am I like this? Why am I like this? You tell me, because I don't know. I have no battery. And many people argue about the dichotomy between nature versus nurture, but the truth is that they both influence us in different ways and in different moments. It doesn't really matter if we believe if something is innate or acquired, because what matters is that we believe it. If we live and that becomes our narrative. You see? So now, allies and mentors. Let me put this one in the middle, because if it's not in the middle, we'll think it's something else. Ooh, you see what I was saying? You see what I'm saying? Let me do this, and then I'll do this. Bam! Align in the center. And you see, this is all our own thoughts. We don't need to ask something else. What do I think about this? Write it in a different. No, this is your voice. Find your voice by giving it out. You cannot find your voice by asking something else to write something in the voice you think you want to have. But that's another conversation for another moment. So what allies and mentors? So who are our allies? Friends and family. Well, let's start this sentence well. We learn good and bad first from our first mentors uh, our family, our family members and immediate family members and immediate authority figures. Then, when we grow, we seek this mentorship in peers. We know this is in, yeah, I can't remember the name. Is it Puget's? Um, Not Puget's. It's, how is it called? Well, I'll look for it later, and I'll add it here with links. And because everything is, how do I call this? Everything is research based. I'm not just talking out of talking. I'm talking because of my background in mental health, in nursing, psychology, as a lab technician. Everything I'm talking about is about how actually things affect the body and the mind based on research. I just don't have the research right now on hand, but I'll look for it and I'll post it. So you have direct links and where to find things and how to find them, because at the end, this is scientific divulgation. I want you to have not just mm, my input, but I want you to be able to find these things so you can quote them, not just by me, but also by other people that have more authority than I have to you. So we seek mentorship from peers, jari jari jara, and that's how we shape, but that but the truth is that our training starts before we are even born. When we are in the womb, we acquire we when we're in the womb, we learn from we learn but the truth is that our training starts before we are even born. When we're in the womb, we are trained. Later we'll look for another word, another better word and all that. We're trained by what our mother eats or drinks, by what emotions she interacts with more. We are also trained by the environment our mother is exposed to. But our training starts before we are even engendrado. How do you say that in? Let's look for that. Engendrar in English. In English, engendered. Let's say we're even in our mom's womb. I just wrote it before. Womb. How did I say it? When we are in our training really starts with our dad's lifestyle. This is actually very recent discovery, quote unquote. But if you'd have been talking to me, I could have told you way sooner. But research takes its time, and I'm happy that research is actually keeping up with it and catching up with my knowledge. So our training really starts with our dad's lifestyle. When, yeah, what he chooses to live like will determine what what are the conditions in which the womb are, are going to form. Later, write this better. I'm just using words that come to mind, but then I'll bring the research and put it better written. Going to form. Our dad lifestyle not only affects us as future as embryos and future babies, but they also affect the mother. Embryos, let's put this one in the middle. This will amplify it later. So the same way our first mentors are our immediate community. Yes, family is community. Our first liabilities also are our community. The way they understand who we are based on who they believe we should be will affect who we become. We have talked a lot about that. once we become. That's why our worst enemy will always be ourselves, because the way we understand that interaction between us and our community, I know that will put it in lesson. That will be the lesson. Let me, well, we'll see if that's the lesson we get. Mhm. The interaction between who we are and who. No, I don't like how I'm saying that. Enemies and liabilities are just a way of using the word to create a feeling, not because they are directly antagonizing us. Because that's something you'll see me write all the time. Because how long do we have? We have 5 minutes left in the time, and we still have another half to write about. But this is it. This is how we're going to be working on this, okay? Sometimes we'll have more time, sometimes we'll have less time. But we're slowly going to build this story. And this is just for the live session. At the end of the day, you might be able to see this uploaded. And once it's written, I'll make a video about it and we'll talk about it and all that. But it's slower for me to write it while I'm talking to you than just write it by myself. But as you can see, you don't need AI, you just need to write and to talk and to explore your own thoughts, antagonizing us. So let me put this here. Okay. Your parents' beliefs about themselves will directly affect how they interact with you, and by ende, how you understand right and wrong. I don't know if that's a thing in English, but I'll just leave it en by ende, how you understand right and wrong. Lesson. So what's the lesson here? Is that you are a product of multiple stories. The sooner you understand the stories that drive you, the easier it will become to change them. The sooner you understand, you'll be able to change them. That's the lesson. There's no need for extra things. That's the lesson. All trigger overcome. Once you understand who you are, once you choose who you are, it will be easier to become who you want to be. Life is about choice. New trigger. What's the new trigger? Here, this part is easier. This part is just what's the new trigger? Is my life poop just because I chose it? That's the new trigger. No. Your life is an accumulation of choices you had no power over. But now that you know that you have some certain level of choice, it's your duty to choose what you want to be. This will be the conclusion. Control X. And then what are we going to do? Bam. Now we have to make this more about narrative because the lessons stop. So now that time has stopped, no? But it's not the important part. Let me do that and that. So now that we know these things, now it's time to remove these and duty. See, here we'll talk about the dangers of blaming the victim for their situation. Blaming the victim empowers the victim, the perpetrator, by taking away the responsibility of the harm they caused. That's why we say that we all have certain level of control, but we don't have all the control. The first thing we must do is to change the stories we tell ourselves instead of framing them from the perspective we dislike. We should find ways in which who we really are flourishes on top. Flourishes on top. Let's use that for now. And then we'll rewrite it in a different way. We are not in control of other people's narratives, and we shouldn't let other people's narratives take control over ours. Then in the future, we'll talk about the negative effects of other people's narratives. We'll rewrite this properly for it to be a proper blog, and then I'll post it. And that's about it. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm going to log out now. It's my time. It's time to live and love. I remind you, there's no, let's see if there's any questions that anyone has. Any of my 20 million thousand followers and viewers, does anyone have anything they want to say? No, it was all clear because I'm great explaining. Wow, that's awesome. So thank you very much for joining. I remind you, my book is called Axiom Regalia, Fate of Hate. It's coming up on winter. And I hope you enjoy it. It's about emotional, how our personal relationships and our community affect our emotions, and how our emotions affect retrospectively those relationships. And don't forget to follow me here if you haven't. Give likes, follow me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and don't forget to visit my WordPress. Soon, it will be my own WordPress soon. So thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you for being here and for watching and listening. Bye-bye.